What's up, y'all? We are here, Therapy Without a Degree. I think this is maybe chapter 310-ish, something like that. You guys already know Joe Fucarino's in the house, in the studio. We got Desiree up in the building.
Hi, guys.
Yeah.
What's up?
Okay, who else we got in the building? We got
Josh in the building today.
What's up? Let's go. What's up, Josh?
What's up,
man?
How's it going?
I'm excited to
Yeah,
have
I'm excited
you here,
too,
man.
This is dope.
So for the people who don't know, Josh is like my twin flame. I could cry. I love him so much. So I'm so happy that he gets to like hang out with us.
I'm excited.
I'm excited for you to, educate people a little bit.
Whoa.
Nah, yeah. You definitely have a story, and I'm excited to kind of, get into it a little bit. But we got some other people in the house, huh, Joe?
Yes, we got Marcello in the building. We got Julia, Ramon. Let's go. We got Ramon. You're due. You know you're due, right? For part what, 3?
Oh yeah.
Part 3. You're due. And then So how do y'all know each other?
Josh.
So we did a program together, Teach for America, and we were actually in the same summer program, but we never met the entire time. So we were like, I think a few doors down, probably never saw her, never in the same circles until like a year later, we ended up in San Antonio.
San Antonio.
Yep. We went to a teachers conference for like Latino teachers, and I was like, were you in Teach for America? She was like, I sure was. And I was like, oh, she's going to be a vibe. Okay, cool. And after that, we've been together ever since. So
but tell them the truth.
That you
allegedly.
You paid me no mind. You absolutely paid me no mind. You were like, wow, it's fine.
It is true.
Until we started working together in the same building. And then she was like, wait, you're so cool. I was like, I know. You missed out.
So
let's go. I like that energy, yo.
So for my sake, just so that I can defend myself, we were hanging out with another mutual friend, and his energy levels are at 1,000. And if you know me personally, my energy levels can definitely be at 1,000 too. So when he was like, oh yeah, let's go, let's do it. I was like, oh my God, jumping bean.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, yeah. And Josh is way more chill and laid back, and like he's super fun and super hype, but like he moves at his own flow. He moves at the like.
Who's more laid back, me or him?
Oh no, you, Joe. Joe is so laid back. Nah. I take him. We go to Dykeman.
I'm laid back until like I get comfortable, and then I'm like, ah. So that's like it just needed some time. I was like, it's day 1. I'm not gonna be on 10. I'm not.
Yeah. So like.
What's your sign?
A Libra.
Yeah, we're Libras.
Oh wow. Yeah. So that explains a lot. Okay, I like it.
Yeah. No. So like we ended up actually hitting it off when we worked together, and honestly, at this point, he's like my work brother. He's literally my work brother. Yeah. Like we have convinced family generations of children that we are related.
Yeah, kids today were like, "Hello, Miss Perez's brother," and I'm like, "That's not a thing," but thank you.
Just stick with it.
His name is Mr. Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Get it right.
So nah, stick with it.
At this point, yeah.
Yeah. So it's been a dope like friendship to see evolve. We also have a lot of things in common, and our mindsets when it comes to the work that we do and the things that we want for ourselves is really similar.
Yeah. I think we're big like dreamers. We want a lot for ourselves, which I think we connected a lot on that. Like we are very creative and we do so many things. And I think some of our struggles are very similar where we're always like, damn, we're so in sync. We feel the same. We feel this like yearning to do more. And I think that's where we always connect as well.
Yeah. So, Josh, I wanted to kind of like ask you a little bit like, where are you right now in your life? What are some of the things that you have going on just in your personal life? Like,
Yeah.
where are you in this season of your life?
Well, as you know, because you were there, this is month 3 of being married. So
Yay!
Hey,
Yes,
congratulations.
congratulations.
So month 3 of being married, it's still very fresh and new, and there's new situations to navigate in that perspective, honestly. So also starting my own podcast, which has its own difficulties, and being a creative and all of these things. So there's a lot of new things, an assistant principal. So trying to navigate that at the same time. It's a
Wait,
lot.
plug in the pod real quick.
The podcast is called Rainbows and Creatine. It's
Okay. What's it about?
it's I would call it a men's podcast, which is it's me and the guy that she
The
got
other
off with.
hyper guy.
The other hyper guy. So it's we've been friends for a very long time, and we share a lot of experiences. He's straight. He's the creatine. I'm gay. I'm the rainbow. So we talk about literally.
That's a
So
good
we just talk
I
about
like
like our experiences. To be frank, he was the first person like I really came out to. And I remember being like, oh my God, this dude is like this super straight. He's a huge dude, 6 whatever. And I was like, oh, this is gonna be my roommate at Teach for America. It's gonna suck. It's gonna be the worst experience ever. And I was like, I'm gonna go in there, I'm gonna be like, I'm Josh, I'm gay, whatever it means doesn't matter. And I was like, he's gonna punch me in the face, I know it. And that's what I did. I went in, I was like, hey, I'm Josh and I'm gay. What you gonna do about it? He was like, listening to Hamilton and like dancing, and I was like, who is this guy? So after that, he was like, yo, like, I'm here to support you. And he was like one of the biggest forces that helped me be myself. So we have a lot of experience together, and we talk about that.
Okay. I like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm gonna have to check it out.
So how's the marriage journey been? Like, you're so young and married.
I
So
know.
like, what has that world like gotten you into? What is life now like?
Be honest.
Right,
for real.
right.
He's not listening. He's not watching.
We, first of all, everybody asked the same question. I'm like, it's 3 months. Like, we've known each other for 10 years at this point. We've been together for about to be 10 years. So I'm like, they're like, how different is it? I'm like, it feels the same, like in terms of the relationship. I just tell people that it feels more intentional now. Like, you have to wake up every day and choose your partner. And I've learned that. I was like, yo, like, this is forever now. Like, there is an actual stamp here. So I think that's the difficult part. Sometimes I'm like, yo, like, I want to choose myself today. Like, I just want it to be about me, and you have to balance that. And I think that's some of the difficulties of it. It's like, you really have to think about this other person in your life all the time. Everything I do impacts him. So sometimes that's the struggle. And he's very different than he is. You think I'm chill. He is like next level chill. So I'm always like, let's go outside. He's like, I just want to stay home. And I'm like, oh, this is crazy. So we have to balance the wants, the needs, the joy, and yeah, all of that.
How do you find yourself figuring out what kinds of sacrifices are worth making versus like, because you still have to maintain yourself,
Yeah.
right? Like, you have self-preservation.
Yeah.
So how do you figure out, or how do you both navigate like, okay, I need this for me versus we need this for us versus I need to give to you?
It's all about communication. Like, that is, I know it's cliche, but it really is about communication, and allowing ourselves to live separate lives, right? This is something I enjoy. I enjoy having conversation and media and podcast and content. And he enjoys watching Wicked. I don't want to see Wicked for the 50th time. I don't. But I'm gonna allow him.
I've been wanting to watch Wicked, people.
I haven't seen it in the movies yet.
It's great. It's
I've
great.
heard
It's great.
I heard it was trash.
You heard it was trash?
I heard it was trash.
By who? You know what? We don't need to name drop, but that's crazy.
Hold on, Ramon. Okay.
Has anybody else seen it?
Anyone else?
I heard it was trash. I don't know.
It's not for me. It's crazy.
But I respect it. Yeah.
You know what's crazy? Again, who I heard this from? Jaylene. She's like, yeah, Gen Z said it wasn't it.
Jaylene said that?
Yeah.
Jay, girl.
But she didn't. But also, she didn't watch it. She's just going by the critics on TikTok.
Okay, you have to watch it at least once. Just once.
My son would not stop clutching his chest the entire time.
Oh, the
love
emotions. That's beautiful.
Wait, now I have to watch it again because I want to feel that. That's amazing. But he watches it all the time. But I know that's what he enjoys and I know that's what he likes. So I'm allow him to be himself. And then he also allows me to be myself. Like, I'm doing this. I'm not asking you permission. I'm just letting you know. And he's like, I know this is what you enjoy. I know this is what you like. I'm gonna go to the gym. He knows this is what I enjoy. And so we allow each other to be ourselves and to experience life separately, but also with each other. And I think that's important.
So I wanted to know, as a gay man having to navigate this space, choosing to navigate this space of marriage, not necessarily having any role models, how do you make sure you're doing the right thing? Like, where does your mindset go when it's like, you're my husband? What is the role of a husband? Like, is it as standard as societal expectations of husband and wife? Or are you guys kind of like redefining what that looks like?
Ooh. Um,
No pressure.
All the pressure.
all the pressure.
All the pressure.
I think what you said is what I'm like fixated on about no role models, and that's the truth. Like, unfortunately, all the queer relationships that I've known have either been like hidden, they were hiding who they were for a long time, or when they're out, there was a struggle for commitment, which I think is a big issue that has to be unpacked in the LGBTQ community. There's so much. There's this feeling of like I can't commit because there's shame, and that's a whole different thing that we can unpack. And that was me for a very long time as well. Like I was like, I can't be in a relationship because my parents show me that it has to be this certain way. So like it feels shameful to do that. So every day feels like a step in getting out and being proud and being who you are. And so we're redefining what that looks like because it's not the same. Right? In some aspects it is, right? But then there's also sometimes it's like fear. It depends where you are. You have to be like, can we be fully married in public or do we have to act like we're friends? Like there's always like a safety thing. So I think it's very sometimes nuanced in how we decide to be out and proud of our marriage. It is about safety. So sometimes we walk the streets and we're like, we're just not holding hands right here. We're gonna be chill. People think we look alike, so we'll be like, we'll be fine. We're brothers.
Yeah.
Keep it that way.
But it's interesting. I've never thought about safety in public with my partner. That's never been something I've had to think about. And it makes me think about the privilege of that right now.
Yep.
Where, like as a woman, I think about safety. That's something that I've talked about before on other episodes where it's like, I'm constantly worried about safety. When I invite a man over to my house, if I don't know him well, it's like, what position am I putting myself into? But to be in a fully committed, fully loving relationship and still have to walk with that fear must be really difficult. That must be really tough.
Yeah, I think it's like it's a mental game. It's like we want to go home tonight, safe, so we are gonna keep it chill, right? We're just gonna we know who we are. We don't have to flaunt it, and it depends where we're at, right? Then so other spaces like with our friends, we're gonna be fully ourselves, and we're gonna be able to express that, and we could be who we are. But sometimes we can't, and that's just the life we live and the climate that we're in and how we have to navigate.
That's tough, man. No, it is. Like, it's something to think about because I love you both so much. And, like, I've seen your relationship go from not married to married. And, I may not necessarily, you guys are very good at keeping your relationship between you two.
Oh, yeah.
You guys are, like, and you guys aren't necessarily private, but you guys very much so hold honor to what you guys have built and what you guys have. And so even now, having known you for all these years, just kind of considering the fact that you can't necessarily just go anywhere and act and just behave and just exist because it can cause issues for you. Have you ever been in a situation where you felt like you can't?
Yeah, it's a vibe. It's like it's an energy. You can feel it. We've been to places where like I'm like there's always a test. You're like I'm gonna touch your hand real quick and see what the looks give you. You know what I'm saying? Like, or I'm going to, I consider myself a little more masculine than he is. He's more he's not necessarily feminine presenting, but you can tell more, and you know what I mean. Like
Yeah,
when you
he's
see one, you're like, oh, that is a
soft.
gay man. You just know it is what it is.
He's
But for me,
soft.
I've growing up in the Bronx in New York, like I know how to switch. I could
Like
turn it
the
off.
code, that code
I could
switch
code
they
switch.
call
I
it,
could,
right?
I could
No,
code switch.
you're a bad
Absolutely.
bitch no matter
I
what,
mean,
though. Real
duh.
talk, real talk.
But
He really,
I could turn it off and be
you run it
Josh.
up real quick.
Yeah, I'd be like, nah, I'm Josh. It is what it is, right? Like I was able to play it off almost my entire life. People didn't really know till like college when I was like starting to, but he is more. It's hard for him to turn that off. So I'm always mindful of. I'm always thinking about him and how his safety because I know I can handle it. But we've been to places where he gives me a look and I'm like, oh, I gotta handle it. I'm gonna handle it. So I'm always with that in the back of my head.
Any advice for the teens who are afraid to come out?
Oof. I think it's about knowing that you're gonna be okay no matter what. Like,
That's really important.
yeah. Like I think as a kid, I remember being like, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. Like, this is going to ruin my life if I come out. It's gonna change everything, and it made it even better. And letting teens know that the minute you realize who you are and when you understand and you're free, and nothing else matters. Like you got yourself, and you have a community that will find you, no matter where that is.
Community.
Yeah, you'll find it.
A lot of people tend to isolate themselves when they don't feel like they belong. So I think that that's a really important part is like, look for your tribe because
Yeah.
they're out there.
And I always say all the time, like, a lot of us too, we think that sometimes. We think that, whatever our situation is only just us. But realize there's a lot of people out there that are dealing with the same type of thing. So, like, and that's why actually I love always, like, the beauty of the internet. Because you can, like, find those people that maybe, like, relate to what you're going
Yes.
through and all those things of that nature.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's kind of, I was telling you about my experience now, like my Latino journey, trying to understand my heritage and being Puerto Rican and whatever. And I just put that on the internet. I was like, yo, like, how many of y'all who have either never been to the island or only been once and whatever, are trying to figure yourself out? And people were flooding my comments like, yo, like, I want to learn more about my history. And I was like, yo, there's other people like me who don't know much but are trying. And that
But
is the
you
beauty.
feel like you don't know much about your heritage?
The history, no. Like, music is big to me. I feel like I'm the typical New Yorican. Like, that's just the way it. Like,
But you speak Spanish though.
not too much on the.
But you speak
not too
Spanish
much on the
though.
Spanish.
Because them New Yorkers don't speak no
Oof,
Spanish. Okay.
Right, but it took time. I had to practice. I didn't learn Spanish till college.
No.
Yeah.
I don't believe you.
Oh, I was so afraid.
I really don't believe
No,
you. I
it
think you're
really wasn't
gassing it.
until I was in college where I was like, I got to learn at this point. It's mad embarrassing for me.
You speak very fluently.
Thank you. But it's also, I had a lot of Dominican influence. I am spiritually Dominican as well.
Yes, you are. We claim him. We claim him, okay, tribe? We claim him. He's
So
Dominican.
to me, like a lot of my mannerisms, my language, my accent is all Dominican. So I'm like, nah, I want to know Puerto Rican and Colombian because I'm half. So I want to know what that feels like a little bit.
What have you been looking into? So, for example, I know that a lot of the conversation was around language and how language impacts how people perceive you. So, like, I know you were just talking about it, but what are some of those barriers? Because my grandmother was like, if you don't speak Spanish, you're a dumbass and talk to me in Spanish or
Sorry,
don't
Grandma.
talk to. Yeah, my grandma. She was a hard ass. She was basically like, if you don't talk to me in Spanish, you're a fucking dumbass. Like,
Jeez.
talk to me in Spanish, you're not an idiot. And like, particularly with my middle brother who didn't pick up the language very well, he struggled a lot in my grandmother's house because my grandparents refused to speak English to us. And so it would be a lot of like, es que tú eres bruto, ¿qué es lo que te pasa a ti? Like, very abusive, attacking language because he wouldn't practice his Spanish and he wouldn't communicate. He'd rather just be quiet. Whereas myself and my cousin, we kind of picked up the language because we picked up the language. It was in our environment. And so it's a curiosity to me because it wasn't necessarily having to learn the language. It was just part of where I was. And a lot of people don't have that experience. A lot of people just don't speak it.
No, I feel like it was about safety. Like when my parents came over here from Colombia and Puerto Rico, they were like they had horrible experiences in in their schools, right? They were constantly like my my mom always says like she almost dropped out of middle school because it was so terrible being somebody who had migrated from a different place. So she was like, I don't want my kids to feel the same. She said, I'm gonna make sure that my kids feel safe here. So it wasn't forced. It wasn't enforced. It wasn't a thing that they pushed. The English language was pushed, right? What they pushed was food, right? Like I could cook. My pernil goes
Okay.
crazy,
Oh shit.
right?
Nah, he could throw down. He could throw down
Yeah.
in the kitchen, yo.
I
Let's
could,
go.
like the food is what I feel like they transferred over because that was something in the home, right? That was how we connected as a community. Music was something I did for myself because my parents were religious pastors. They were not listening to no Bad Bunny and that's not the thing.
We singing
Right?
Yandel.
Yeah, they wasn't doing no reggaeton. That wasn't them. I did that for myself so I could feel connected to culture. So that's where my connection lies. But the language, I had to force myself to do that because I think I'm the oldest of four brothers. The one right after me speaks decently. The other two, not an ounce. And they are like so far removed. They don't, from music to language to culture, history, they know nothing. And food, they're kind of like, I want a burger, I eat. Like they're so far moved, and I don't want that for myself or my kids.
Yeah.
It makes me think about I mean, you and I have been talking about the Bad Bunny album for a while now.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
I came in here and I was,
The night that
right,
it
Julia,
dropped.
right, girl. Like, I came in here and was like, guys, I need to play the album
Oh,
for you.
fire! Top
Like, and that was what happened. And I was like, I'm going to play my bangers, the ones that I like live by. And what's interesting is that there's such a huge political agenda that Bad Bunny really applies himself towards, particularly in not wanting the colonization of Puerto Rico to overtake or like overpower the culture of
Yeah,
Puerto Rico.
absolutely.
And it just makes me think, like, isn't that what happens when people immigrate to the United States? Like, I'm thinking about what you said with your brothers. I'm
Yeah.
thinking about my brothers and how they don't pick up the language. And,
Yeah.
you kind of come here and you Americanize yourself. You become Americanized. And it's interesting that it's also, what's happening in these smaller islands, in these
Yeah.
countries. And it's concerning. I think that it was beautiful that Bad Bunny used his platform to really speak to it. And it's just hard because we come over here, or our parents come over here looking for something better, looking for a way to
Opportunities.
provide, right? And they don't realize how much of home ends up getting lost.
It's a sacrifice. It is. You said your relationship with your grandmother is.
Toxic.
I was gonna say great and special, and you have a
Well,
connection.
no, two different grandmas. The grandma that I have a great and special relationship with, yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
She's so sweet. The other grandma, she beat my ass. Oh, that grandma, she didn't play with me.
But you learned your lesson, probably.
I sure did.
I'm not close to my grandparents because they were only speaking Spanish at the time. Now I feel like as an adult, I'm like, I can like mix and mingle.
Also,
and,
it's very different generations.
It
too.
is.
It's
Oh, yeah.
very different. Like even though it's kind of crazy, like we don't realize it, but even like our parents, it was just very different from our generation. Like we learn, like so much happens in just a few years. So it's like that's why sometimes a lot of times I always hear people like bashing their parents or this or that. It's like, yo, it was a whole different time, whole different era.
they were doing their best.
Like I'm not making you don't make excuses for them, but I think like and especially now with like technology and knowledge, it's like, we just know more and we've evolved, so
Thinking about even like therapy for our parents' generation, that's not a thing. And so many of them are now learning and understanding that if they need it, they should do it. And for them, it was like we do not talk about mental health until we now are like we let's talk about it. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off and let's bring everything to the table because they hid a lot from us. I think as kids or as a family in general because it was one of those like you don't talk about it as families.
Yeah, and I think, Joe, I think that like more so just given like the little stories that you and I have had about, growing up in certain situations that require you to kind of like take a more parental role and having to kind of take over. How do you think that impacts, and I guess the question's for both of you, but how do you think that impacts your ability to be a child, your identity as an adult, uh, the yearning for childhood, the lack of yearning for childhood? How do you think that your childhood ends up kind of like impacting your adulthood? How do you
Yeah.
think that like the mental health portion of it, how do you think that shows up?
Well, I definitely think like in that aspect of like when you're dealing with a lot and you're younger and you have to just mature faster. Always have liked it for that benefit of being being more mature and just dealing with more things. But at the same side, it could definitely mess with your mental health. I think, just due to the simple fact that you are young, your brain isn't fully developed yet. But it's all part of the process. I mean, I definitely do think again you're gonna. It's how you take it, and it's your perception and it's your perspective of the situation too. And as you get older, if you start, continuously working on your professional development and your personal development, like there was things that I was tripping and bugging out about when I was like, even in my late teens to early 20s, that now I see completely different. You know what I'm saying? And at that time, I thought I was like super mature and I knew what I was talking about and all that, but no, like I still didn't. Even in my mid 20s, there was things I did even in my late 20s. And now, I mean, at being at 35, I'm like, damn. But I mean, all in all, it's definitely that balance because you do see sometimes some kids, kind of like what I was talking about with Connie earlier. You see sometimes some people they just is like, they're 25 years old or something or 20 years old, and it's like, yo, you don't. I wish you luck in life.
Yeah.
I wish you luck because maybe you haven't matured to that certain level or you haven't been through these different things, so you don't maybe know how to move in certain situations. So it's like, but then again, you didn't have like a childhood. Like that's one thing I always try to tell Jay is be a kid. You're fucking 17. Watch Netflix all day if you want to. Like, enjoy that time. Like you're be blessed to have that. So it's kind of like the balance of it, but I guess it's all about what you do with it. Because you can go through a wild time in your teens or even 8, 9, 7, and then you could wallow in that misery, and that could define your whole entire life. Or you can use it to get fired up, and you could use it as an example to be like, you know what, that's not how I want to live my life. That's not what I want to do. I want to do this. But there's a lot that goes into that.
Yeah, I wonder a lot how much of an impact our parents actually have on who we are and who we become, because you're right, to a certain degree it can all just be a bunch of excuses where it's like, yeah, those were the cards you were dealt with. How are you going to play your hand? What are you going to do with it? But at the same time, there's a very real component of the exposure that you have definitely speaks to certain parts of who you become. So I don't know. I've always been curious about who would I have been had my parents been different, or what things would I not have inherited, what things would I have evolved in a different way. So, for example, my mom is a very anxious woman, and I am pretty anxious too. So it just makes me wonder, had my mother been a deeply confident, wildly successful mogul or of some sort, would that have impacted my trajectory? And to what degree am I who I am simply because of myself versus the influence of parents?
I think what uh, Joe said is important about how you handle it, right? That's why we see three, four siblings with the same situation end up in completely different lives. Um, and you could have ended up being the same no matter who your mom was, right? Your mom could have been so confident that you ended up being anxious and insecure because maybe you feel like you couldn't have been good enough. So I think it really is how you also take what you have and deal with it. My mom is the same. My mom is super anxious. I'm an overthinker. I get super nervous. I've had to work on that though in my own therapy journey, right? But my brothers, the three of us, all have completely different ways that we navigate, right? And I, as someone who is in therapy, I'm like, oh, I can see how each of us handle this situation that we were dealt with so different. And it's just a way, it could be, chemistry, the way our brain works, but it also just like who you are as a person. So
Yeah. Also, your role models and what you're feeding yourself and, mentors and things like that. And like nowadays too, like I say a lot is like, you know, like our parents' generation and things of that nature, they didn't have that. They didn't have, now it's like, my one of the biggest reasons of creating therapy without a degree is because I think multiple things could be therapeutic in today's day and age. Back then, maybe not so much, right? Now you could find a podcast that is, talking about something. You can go to people. You could find mentors. You could find therapists online. You could find people that are close to therapists. You could find coaching. Like, there's so many different resources to be able to like navigate you through like whatever that situation is. So it's like, it's accountability too at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, what you're going through is valid and all that, but you got to work through it. Like, you're upset because you're broke.
fix it.
Do
Like,
some
yeah,
coaching.
do something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do some coaching to figure out how to not be
Yeah.
broke. Are you this? Are you that? Like, we have enough resources now. I feel like that at this point now, it's like, but again, also just because you have the resources don't mean it's going to fix it. You know what I'm saying? But
Is there like a will or like you have to have a desire to fix it? Is that like a portion of it? Like all of these resources are in your hand. What are you going to do with them? Are you actually going to use them to your advantage, or because it's all about mindset, I think too. You can have all those resources and still feel like you have nothing available because might you may not be ready to take that step, or you're just like afraid to take that step. I think there's a lot of factors that could impact.
Joe said something that I kind of wanted to circle back to. He had mentioned the accountability portion, right? You have to take accountability of what you create, what you make your life to be. I guess my question is, how do we hold our parents accountable for the life that they created? And is that even a thing? Do we
I don't think we
hold?
should. No, not at all.
Tell me more.
Why? Like, why would we hold them accountable?
Because they raised us.
Yeah, that's not our problem.
You don't think so?
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all.
I think it's, well, I'll hold my opinion.
Yeah.
Josh.
I kind of want to hear more about not
Why?
holding our parents accountable. Yeah.
No, like we are our own, especially at this age.
Yeah.
No, we are us. Like anybody else, that shit don't matter. It is us. We got fucking our voice. We have our legs. We have our own body. It is up to us to make our future. It has nothing to do with them. Has nothing to do with them. That'd be nice in a nice world. That's cool. Okay, cute. Yeah, you brought me into this world. Be appreciative. Hey, if you did the right thing. But at the end of the day, it's up to us. It's up to us.
It happened already.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice. Again, it would be nice if they did this and did all that. But it ain't nothing. Like at the end of the day, they did the best that they can. And at the end, like, no, it's like. I don't think that's a lot of weight to hold on to somebody. I think that's a lot of weight to put onto somebody. But while I am though, and I'm very like, you got to be the fucking best parent you got to be and all that. But at the same time, like no, like especially as you get older. Like if you're a kid and you want to feel like that, okay. And yes, I do believe like when the kid's young, yeah. But like no, at this age, nah.
He's not focusing on me.
Yeah, like we're indeterminate of our own. We're in control of our own destiny.
I guess, so here's the thing though. When a parent is consistently showing up in a way that does not align with one's values, should we not check them? Should we not hold them accountable? Not necessarily holding them accountable to what we show up as their children, but holding them accountable to who they are as individual people. Because yes, they are people, right? They are individuals. They have the ability to make their own choices. They have lived their life and they have made the choices that they have made. But is there not a point where, for example, if a parent says a racial slur or a parent makes a homophobic comment and it's something that you deeply disagree with, is it not worth it to have that battle, regardless of how stubborn, regardless of how fixed in their ways they are? Is it not worth it to reparent your child, your parent?
That's different though. Yes, it's worth it, but we don't have to hold them accountable. It's just two different things. You know, like holding them accountable, and again, if they want to, like if I'm telling you, hey Des, hold me accountable to this, but like I'm telling, if I want the accountability, we can't push that on somebody. If they don't want it, they don't want it. Mm-hmm. But we can't push accountability on people. You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, they're going to do what they don't got to do. If we love them, we can try to motivate them to influence, but we can't hold them accountable. We can influence, we can inspire, we can be a role model. We could be the person that we want them to be, or we can model the things that we would like them to do. But you can't force accountability unless they asked you to.
And I think it's about like Joe said, it becomes a big weight to parent your parent. And I think it's more like now I'd rather move towards more adult conversations. Like I'm going to speak to you like an adult now. I'm going to just have a conversation, let you know my perspective. And I think you teach your parents by showing them your own boundaries. Like, I'm actually not going to do this. I'm actually not going to agree with you this time, or I'm actually not going to withstand your abuse in this way. It doesn't make me feel good. Holding yourself accountable to yourself, I think, is a good way to teach them.
Being a role model,
yeah.
And also by being the bigger person and being the change that you want to see.
Yeah.
I think that's like the best thing that you could do in those moments is you being that person, I think on the opposite side, a parent could hold their children accountable to a certain point,
right,
until they're an adult. But even at that, at a certain point,
there needs to be some wants to want to be accountable as well, right? Even for kids, we see it all the time as
I was
educators.
Bring it up. Yeah,
if the kid does not want to be better, at least 1%. It doesn't matter what.
It won't happen.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Like not to get too personal. People try all the time. Oh yeah. Like what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
You want me to drag her here? You want what? What do you want me to do?
Yeah.
Like they're not a baby no more. I can't pick you up, bring you in a car, and bring you here. I can't.
Yeah.
See, and that becomes so challenging for me because one, I don't have my own kid, but two, I watch parents wash their hands of their kids. And it's different. I know that that's not what you mean, but it's like, again, at what point is it a personal, I give up versus I need to understand the person that's in front of me. And regardless of what I want for that person, I need to give them what they need. It's
about, especially with stuff like this, you got to get creative. Most of us, no, seriously, you got to get creative in things like this. And a lot of times we are very one-dimensional in our what we want someone to change or adapt to, or back to the parent thing. Like, hey, we want our parent to be this. We want our parent to be that. A lot of times, our passion and our emotion can get us very just one-dimensional about how we want that change to happen. But again, sometimes we need to learn that everybody learns and everybody does the way they move their entire life differently, right? Based on love languages, based on, how they want to be loved, how they like to love somebody, personality traits. Are they more dominant? Are they more aggressive? Yeah. Are they more analytical? We don't think about these things. We just base things on emotion, right? That's why I always tell people to try to shift into more logic thinking most of the time, because then if you use your logic and you try to break it down, you can maybe figure out, hey, how is that person, I want to hold them accountable in this way. How should I go about it specifically with you versus me just being emotional and being like, I want you to do this. I want you to be like, why, or la, 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 la.
Why aren't you? Why aren't you?
Or something like that.
You got to tailor it to who the person is.
You have to be very, calculated in how you're going to do that. So like with me, if I want to hold someone accountable, right, in a certain way, I'm maybe going to go about it like I could want to hold you accountable and you accountable in the same exact different thing. I'm going to go about it 1,000 times different with you and you.
Yeah.
But again, emotions can definitely alter that.
Play a part too.
Yeah.
So the answer is no.
Wow. The answer is no. No, I think it's important for the people to hear that there's more than one way to go about
It's
things.
layered. We are so
We
multi-dimensional,
are.
and we are so different. And again, what moves you is not going to move you.
Correct.
And again, but our passion and our just emotion. At first, if we're not going to process all that and try to just get us to be, and that's why I always say, personal development, do the work, if therapy is your thing, go to therapy. If it's coaching is your thing, go to coaching. If watching YouTube videos is that, but it's like to learn all of this and to get to that point, it's like to get to that like emotional intelligence type of vibe. It's a lot. It's multi-layered. We are complicated fucking individuals. You know, and not doing that work can get taxing on you emotionally.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times your emotional mental state will be affected by someone else's well-being and the way someone else treats you and all that type of stuff. But it's work.
The more you understand about yourself, the easier you can express that to others. And I think that's why I did the work as well. It's like I need to know what triggers me and what impacts me and what I need so then I can let people know. Because people don't know what I go through and what you go through and what you go through and how they need to navigate that for us. Right? They also have, you come with your own experiences.
Right.
And you might say something to me if you're like, that's not what I meant. But to me, I'm like, yo, that hit different because you don't understand my perspective. So the more you do the work, the easier it is to navigate with others.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that it's important for people to be able to empathize and be able to just kind of shift perspectives, especially with kids. And I would say raising kids, but again, I can't be an
Yeah,
expert on
we're
something I
not there
don't.
yet. We're not there yet.
Right, we're
Well,
not there yet.
but and also that whole expert thing. No one's who's an expert at anything, right? It's not even like you guys can definitely speak on that. You're with children all day.
Yeah, but I'm with kids that I return back to their owners. Like,
I mean, we are like this.
But you actually, yeah, but you actually might be with some of those children more than some of those parents.
yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
You probably know a lot of their personality traits may be better even than those parents.
Oh, that part for sure.
Oh,
Which
absolutely.
is, I guess, where I'm going. I think that even though I'm not necessarily a parent, or for I guess for educators, for people who are working with kids, for coaches, for people who are just always around kids, it helps you realize that the individual and the community really kind of play back and forth with each other all the time. For example, there's this one student that I'm currently teaching. And in the very beginning of the year, he got into a big fight. Mom came in, dad came in, and they all sat down across from me, the school leader, and the assistant principal of culture. And before the parents walked in, the student was sitting with us. And, he was just like, oh, you guys just don't understand. You guys just don't get it, this, that, and the third. And the parents come in, they talk to us. The mom seems like a very educated woman. She seems very involved and invested. The dad is like, you got to do better. We believe in you, all of this pep talk stuff. They both step out, they leave. He has to go back to class because the school day is not over. So he stays in the office. As the parents leave, we're kind of debriefing with the kid and we're like, listen, you gotta do better. Listen to your parents. They came here, they're supporting you, they're showing face, they're speaking life into you. You have a great home. He goes, they're all lying. They're putting on a show. This is not what actually goes down. This is not my reality.
Wow.
They're putting on a front. And so it's like, as the receiving end of that, you think to yourself, what are these kids actually being exposed to? What are these kids thinking about? And are the adults in their lives curious enough about that to help them navigate it? Kids can't navigate life by themselves.
No. But also at the same time, a lot of people have kids and have children and don't know what the fuck they're doing. There's no manual to it. A lot of people have their own shit going on, their own mental health going on. And again, Some of them maybe are just trying their best, or like there's a plethora of things. But I think this calls for a part 2. All right, we gotta get you on. We went multiple different ways here.
We were all over the place, baby.
We did.
I think I want to thank you, man, for coming on.
I appreciate it. This was amazing.
No,
Thank you so much.
come back.
If you will have me, I will be back.
No, 100%. You're always welcome here.
Yo, this was.
We'll set it up. We'll set it up.
Yeah.
But this was dope. Again, thank you for everyone. Thank you for the crew. Everyone up in the building. Shout out to Javi up in the building.
Hi, Javi.
Yeah. But yeah, people, we'll catch y'all soon. Another episode, Therapy Without a Degree.
Therapy Without a Degree, baby.
Yeah. We out.
Bye.